So whoever is there, just drop in on a chat. What do you see in on the screen? What do you see on the screen? Just chat, type an answer of what you're seeing on the screen. Apple logo. Only two people say Apple, 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 Apple. Everybody sure. Everybody sure. I'm not tricking anybody asking what it is apart from Apple. Are you guys sure? Do you want to be creative and answer something else? Don't worry, Apple has not launched any AI yet. I'm not trading on that AI. Sir, 17 and 19 years हो गया. Somebody is congratulating me on 17 years. It's 19, sir. MacBook, very good. Oh, more than 250 people have joined. Thank you. So you are seeing Apple only, nothing else. Sure, mate. No problems. Then let's go to the next one. What are you seeing now? White screen, sir. White screen तो नहीं है. एक प्यारा सा Mercedes, Merc, Benz, brand. Somebody is saying brand. Mercedes Benz, Merc Benz, Merc logo. Sound repeating again and again. Why JBL का speaker है, it's also a brand. नहीं repeat होना चाहिए. Sorry, mic है, not speaker. So one last slide before we jump anywhere. Now tell me what you see. Tell me guys, what these companies make. चलो Nike logo, Starbucks, Louis Vuitton. Vishaka is first in LV. Okay, that is Rolex. What do these guys make? What do these guys sell? Lifestyle, luxury, premium experience, riches, अरे यार, aspiration, lovely. अरे यार, end of the day जूते, कॉफी, वॉच और पर्स बेचते हैं. But imagine the moment we saw that, what we get the brand, we get the trust. Okay. Now let me get into a simple question. In your area or in your city or in your locality, if anybody thinks about mutual fund, do they remember you? Is my question. Do they remember you as that brand who sells mutual funds? No, no, no. Oh, one guy says yes. That's lovely, Pramod. Okay. Raghavendra is saying also yes. The people remember me as a brand. So will not delay any further. I think I have put up the message what I want to convey. Today we have with us Mr. Loganathan. Okay, he is the Chief Business Officer for Sundaram Mutual Fund. Okay, and we have with us my favorite Utsav. Okay, Utsav बहुत handsome लग रहा है आज तो. तो हम दोनों को कॉम्प्लेक्स दे रहा है आज. He is the regional head of Sundaram for APN Telangana. Loganathan sir, very lovely to have you. As you know that this month is a prime month for us in sales of mutual funds. We have a huge target of SIP, gross sales, life insurance, health insurance. At this crux of a time, 289, 300 partners taking out time to listen to us itself is a big achievement. Okay, first of all, thank you partners for joining. Splendid. Okay, sir, lot of partners what we are watching today. Some partners working with us from 10, 15 years are stuck at an SIP book of say 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs. Some partners who have joined us 3 years back have already crossed 2, 3 crores SIP books. Okay. It's not that these guys are selling something different or those guys are something different or these people have some magic wand they are doing, and hardly one or two people. A lot of people might say that social media has brought up, but when I personally speak to partners, not even 0.01% partners are successful on social media. Okay, 0.01%. Okay, so what is that these people are doing very different? than the others, and how that everyone can achieve that SIP book, okay, is what we want to understand from you, sir, today. Okay, over to you, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much, Kapil. It's really a pleasure. It's a honor that you should invite us and give us this opportunity. And really humbled to see that so many participants have come. And I know this is a busy time, the markets being up and down, and and whatnot. And to come at 4 o'clock, to have so many participants, I think it's a real honor. But thank you so much for giving Sundaram this opportunity. With that, I think we will jump into the presentation. So essentially, thank you everyone. Good evening. Good evening. So what Kapil hinted at was very clear, that what is required to do 5x of sales. To do 5x of SIP sales, am I audible? I'm guessing I'm audible. Yeah. Okay. To do 5x of
Perfect.
sales, we need to do things differently. The same thing will not, whatever you did is not going to help you get there. What you did until now is not what is going to get you there. So what is it that you need to do things differently? And when you say what is the things to be done differently, there are two things to it, at a very macro level. One is strategy, the other one is tactics. Now, tactics, every one of you are aware of. What are tactics? Goal-based SIPs. SIP top-ups. When the bonus comes, you send out a mail and get more SIPs. So so these are all tactics, and these are all very good. But tactics can only have a multiplier effect when the strategy is fantastic. So what is the strategy which we are going to discuss here, or suggest here, or recommend here, is what this entire presentation is about. So what is that strategy? So let me get into the presentation. Let me share. Okay. Is this visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Wonderful. Great. Okay. So how can a prudent partner build his brand? We think that for people to get exponential increase, 5x of sales, lump sum, SIP, whatever it is, you need to do things differently, as I said. And the strategy has to be correct. Without the strategy, the tactics, this is very difficult to get you where you want to do. And we feel that if each MFD is able to build a brand, that will take them a long way towards being able to get to 5x, 10x, whatever is required of the sales. So let's move on. Okay. So first and foremost is what makes a brand. Okay. So it is not about advertising. If it is about advertising, pretty much everyone can become a brand. So it is something more than advertising. So if you take a product, it is very clear. It is about design. It is about quality. It is about service. It is about employees. So I'll just give you a couple of examples as and when we go through each slide. And I think, one of the big brands which we have created in India is the IPL brand. So you look at IPL, where it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and where it is now. And how is it gaining strength year after year after year? Because it pretty much follows all of these in terms of design. The competition is designed very, very uniquely. The quality is extremely high because they made efforts to ensure that the participants who come and play are of the topmost quality, which is very important. Because if you have normal players playing, there will not be so much of attraction for it as it is now has. Service, motivated employees. So clearly, I think whoever is running IPL are extremely motivated because it is very, very difficult to have so many foreign players, so many hotel bookings. All the logistics has to be perfect. We have not heard any logistical goof up at all. And if there is even one, I'm sure the newspapers would have made a big song and dance out of it, but nothing has happened. So it is a question of how efficient we are in rolling this out. So if all of this comes, then customer delight automatically follows. So and advertising becomes secondary. So I think this is one example which I thought I will share with you. So then there are brands, and then there are brands which become great. What makes a brand great? All right. Here again, I will give you another example. I'm sure those who are from Tamil Nadu will relate to it, but I'm sure everyone from South will relate to it. I'll speak of my favorite actor, Rajnikant. So Rajnikant, all of you will agree, is a brand unto himself. He made a brand from zero. When he came, I'm sure all of you know his story. If not, I'll just spend 30 seconds on his story. He was a bus conductor. He came and then had his first movie, and from there on, he became a superstar. And what has he achieved? He spans categories. It is amazing that across age groups, he is still recognized. That even when a movie releases now, the current population is wanting to go and see this movie along with the generation like ours. So he spans categories. He built a competitive moat. What is his moat? Is very simple, but he has perfected it beautifully. Is his style, and his style is what people go and see. His charisma, but his style is what really stands out. And because of that, every movie of his is a hit. He spans borders. There are movies of his which was 15, 20 years ago, which was a bigger hit in Japan than it was in India. And people that don't even understand the language. But what captivated them was his screen presence, was the way he gave the delivery of dialogues, even though you don't understand it, but you can still appreciate the dialogue delivery, his mannerisms. So it's the style. And you're immune to economic cycles. It doesn't matter where the cinema industry is, whether there are new movies, hit movies, new actors coming, old actors, you are a success. So if you keep Rajnikant in mind, then all of this will fall into place as to how a brand from becoming a normal brand becomes a great brand. Okay, so again, how does a branding help and what is a differentiator versus products? So here again, while you can read this out, here again, I'll give you a give you an example as a differentiator from the first example I had gave you, IPL. So every country is running their own local T20 format, but nothing has competed with an IPL. Even if you take Big Bash, which is run in Australia, which is the closest we can come to as a competitor for IPL, it is probably 1/10 of IPL size, though they have also been there for 10 years. So what helps it is that is there a key differentiator? And that differentiator is what really differentiates everyone and how successful one is. Because without that differentiator, we all become commodities. And every buyer looks for a differentiator. When he's not buying a commoditized product, when he's buying anything which is not a commoditized is your simple, your rice, dal, and even there is a branding has come. There is a requirement for a differentiation. So I think in this slide, the most important point which you need to keep in mind is a differentiator. Am I being different? And if so, there will definitely be a demand for me. And this is again from transactions to an emotional connect. So this again is very important. So as long as we are doing transactions, we can never become a brand. We can never get to that 5x of SIP sales because ultimately that is our objective. What is our objective is to quadruple, quintuplate, whatever our AUM. For that, we need to go into another level of engagement with our investors from products to experience. So products are bought and we hardly think about products which you're buying. There are any number of products which we buy and we forget about it. For example, right now, the product I'm having, I really don't, until I look at it, I don't know whether it is a Dell, Hewlett Packard or Accord, or Acer. It really doesn't make a difference. But if it is Apple, then it becomes a wholly different thing. So these are all products, I would say. And then we have Apple, which is a brand. So products to experience, this is a product. The laptop I'm using is a product. But when you go and get into Apple, then it becomes an experience. Honesty to trust. And I think this is very important. Honesty, as is put here, is expected. It is a given. You cannot say that there can be no compromise on honesty. But trust is something which transcends honesty, which is something even more bounding. So when an investor trusts you, he trusts you completely, 100%. There is nothing else which will strike his mind to undermine that trust. But then, as we all know, trust is created over a long period of time. Trust cannot be created overnight. Honesty can be demonstrated overnight. And in every transaction, you can demonstrate honesty. But trust is created over several levels of honesty being done consistently on every transaction for a long period of time. And that is where the brands distinguish themselves from others. quality to preference. So preference is what creates sales, because when you want something, when your investor wants you particularly, because there are thousands of distributors, why does he want you? That preference, if you're able to create that preference, then you are halfway towards making yourself a brand. Recognition to remembering. And this is what, again, Kapil had said earlier, when someone talks about mutual funds, are you remembered? If you're remembered, then yes, you're on the way to creating a brand for yourself. And communication to dialogue. So typically transactions is about communication. I have this product. This is what it will do. Please buy it. That is communication. Sharing is understanding, which is much more deeper. While I'm sure most of you are definitely doing dialogue, because it is just not communication. It is a question of what levels of depth we take that dialogue to, is where the distinction happens between one MFD versus another MFD versus another channel. For example, a banking channel. It's clearly very, very different. Service to relationship. So clearly, relationship is what matters, because this is what builds up over a long period of time. Whereas selling or service is immediate, it gets over with, but continuous service builds relationship. Can a distributor become a brand? Yes, 100%, without any doubt. And I will give you again examples of how normal human beings have become a brand. And I'll give you one example, which I'm sure most of you will be able to relate. So there are the three questions asked: what makes me great? What makes me unique? What makes me compelling? I will give you one example of our very own MD, ex-MD, Mr. Sunil Subramanian. So all of you will agree that Sunil is now virtually a brand, because in terms of the engagement he has and the amount of the YouTube connections he has connected post-retirement, you can say that he became a brand. But I've known Sunil for 15 years. So he was just like any one of us here, but he made a conscious effort. He distinguished what is it that he can makes him unique. What is it that makes him compelling? And here it is very important that each one of you identify that one factor. And that is all it is required. There is no need to identify 10 factors. One factor is important. And that is more than enough. Again, going back to the Rajinikanth example, all he did was style. And that style was very unique to him. And that was enough for him to become a brand. He was probably not very good in dancing. He's probably not very good in singing. He's probably not even very good in acting like the way a Kamal Hassan can act. But all of that is not required. You need to identify one aspect, which is your strength, and make it a killer factor. And that is what needs to be done. Again, going back to our own Sunil's example, what is it that distinguished himself? He distinguished himself in being able to convey in simple terms the complexities of the market. That is all it is. And that's made him compelling, that's made him unique, because there is no one else filling that gap, because there is so much of information. Anyone just giving information cannot become a brand. How are you able to distill that information into something simple which everyone can understand and make it useful in their lives? So once you have this vision statement, and then that is your strength, then you are halfway towards becoming a brand. So 3 questions to ask yourself before you become a brand. So I'll again go, what do I do better than anyone else? What am I naturally good at? What do people routinely ask me to help them with? All 3 are very, very important. What do I do better than anyone else? So this is in the MFD concept. You can again broadly split it into 2 things: qualitative versus quantitative. So what is quantitative? Quantitative is I'm an expert in analyzing mutual fund performance. I'm an expert in analyzing portfolios. I'm an expert in analyzing where the portfolio is positioned and where the market is and what sort of returns you will get. That is one. The other can be qualitative. I am very good at lending a ear to my investor. I give him emotional support. That is qualitative. What am I naturally good at? Mostly people can't be good at both. People are probably very good at one and not so bad at the other one. And I think it is very important that each MFD understands and recognizes this distincting factor and then works on that. Because again, as I told you in the earlier example, identify that one unique aspect which you are naturally good at, which you don't have to make a very hard attempt at, and then work on it. And to answer that question, what am I naturally good at, is what do people routinely ask me to help them with? Sometimes the people around us know us better than we know ourselves. And if people around us are coming and asking, people around us are coming and asking for some help with regard to some topic. And if you're able to see over a period of time, everyone is coming and asking me only this, then you know you're good at that. If everyone is coming and asking you, do this analysis for me, do this working for me, do this Excel for me, then you're probably very good at analysis. But everyone is coming and talking about their issues, their problems, how you would like to, how you would advise them, and request your advice, then you're probably very good as an emotional qualitative. So I think it is very important to listen to what others are asking of us. Others are asking of us, and then work on that, because that would actually give us what we are naturally good at, sort of reinforce what we are naturally good at, and then we can get better than anyone else in that aspect. Okay, so this is again getting more into detail into terms of what about my personality or work ethic is unique. So again, this is the same thing, we need to understand that differentiator and then work on that. Why should someone choose me over others? So this again is very important, because this again comes to about positioning. If you had to read all the big books on strategy, they will all always come to this one point. In fact, strategy can really be distilled into one point, which is about positioning. If you're able to position yourself differently from others, and if that position offers value, people will come automatically towards you. It is simple to say, but very difficult to execute. So, and I think that positioning is very important. How do you position yourself to your investors? What capabilities do I share with my peers, and how am I different from peers? Which is the same thing as positioning. Because once you position, you've told how you are different from others for an investor. Because an investor again has choice. He can go to you, he can go to Grow, he can go to any other, he can go to his bank, RM. There are so many options available now. It is not like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when when a distributor went and met, and then there was that relationship continued. Now there is so much of competition. So if you're able to distinguish, and in the eyes of the investor, your differentiating factor, that will ensure that no competition can shake you. No matter what happens, the investor will come back to you, because that is what he's looking for, and that is what all the other guys do not offer. Okay, so here again, what makes me compelling? So again, choose to be selectively famous. I think this is again very important from all the other points which are here, because you cannot be everything to everyone. You just in the process of strategy, or again, strategy says that when you devise a strategy, you should again be very clear what have you let go of, because strategy cannot be that you will do everything for everyone. It cannot be possible. You will have to do only some things for some people, but do that exceedingly well. So all those brands you saw, they clearly decided that they will not be mass market. So which means they've left about 80% of the population, 90% of the population, they say, I don't care about. But the 10% I cater to, I will excel at. So that is one positioning, to be selectively famous. And then there are other ways where people have said, I will be only retail. There are any number of brands which are mass retail, and say that I will not be exclusive. So this choosing becomes very important. And in your case also, whether you want to deal with only 100 ultra high net worth individuals, or do you want to do with 2000 retail investors, is a very, very important question. And if you're having both, then at some stage you need to take that conscious call. Where will I want to migrate to? Because it becomes very difficult as you build your business to go to 1,000 crore AUM IFA to be everything to everyone. Because you can't have 1,000 invest in individual retail investors and 100 high net worth investors. Both require very, very different types of engagement. So this is very important, and this is very difficult because you're leaving some business off. You're not opening yourself up to one section of your potential client base. But if you're able to do that and do that correctly, the ones you're doing with will ensure that what you lost becomes a very, very minor, insignificant portion. How can you build your personal brand? So here again, what do you wish for people to associate with you when they think of your name? This is again important. So when someone says that I have Mr. X as my distributor, what does he want? Does he want excellence? Is one thing. Does he want service? Does he want someone who is emotionally receptive to what he is saying? So this again is the same thing which I told earlier, but from the eyes of the investor. Going on, is there a certain subject matter in which you want to be perceived as an expert, which is again very important. Again, going back to our example of taking our own Sunil Subramanian, he said he'll become an expert in economics and deciphering the complex economic language into simple language. That's it. But then you need to become an expert in it. Are the general qualities that you want linked to your brand, which is also very important, because the moment an investor is thinking of you, he should be able to at least say three things about you. It can be trust, it can be analytical capabilities, it can be authenticity, which is again very important, because authenticity is what, as in this world, becomes very, very less. People are not authentic. So if you're able to convey that you're an authentic person, that whatever you say is correct, is whatever you say can be accepted, is credible. Performance is there, performance is not there, this fund is performing, this fund is not performing. That authenticity, that is a huge positive, because there are not too many people who are very authentic in the way they deal with their day-to-day affairs. But to do this, again, there's a little bit of tactical work which is required. Like, you need to understand your online presence, because now without having an online presence, it becomes very difficult, because any investor you go to is definitely going to check you on LinkedIn, is going to check you on all the other social media apps. So you need to have an online presence. It has to be a professional, consistent online presence, and you need to keep curating it, so that your online presence really becomes you, so that when they go and look at you, they already have a very good idea as to who you are. So creating an online presence becomes very, very important. And auditing it, because again, online presence is there, but to ensure that the right stuff is there about you becomes very important, because one wrong tweet, or one tweet which can be, non-professional tweet, personal tweet, which can be misleading, can completely ensure that some investors do not take you as an MFD, and you'll never know why. So it is very important that you have a completely different personal online presence and a professional online presence. Okay, this is again more, I think everyone should, when we are embarking on this journey of 5 times your SIP book, that there has to be a personal website that people are now able to come and see. Because otherwise, if you don't have a personal website, it is very difficult, especially the younger age investors would reach out to you. So it is very necessary. And these days, creating a personal website is very easy. It is not at all difficult. And at the same time, the personal website, not only a website, also having a LinkedIn page, because LinkedIn has now become really the go-to for anyone to do a quick check before they engage with that person, to get a background as to what that person is. So please ensure that you have an online presence in terms of not only a personal website, but also a very, very good LinkedIn profile. So the other thing is, one is having an online presence, which is fine. But then what we do with that online presence also becomes very important. You need to engage with the wider audience. And this does not mean that that everyone will be successful, or that everything is dependent on online media, but it is very necessary that in the process of building a brand, that people looking at your online site is able to identify as to who you are. For example, you can post content, but here again, the content you can again distinguish here that I will only post contents which are of knowledge giving, which is of learning. I will not talk anything about funds or fund performance. That is the way you can distinguish yourself. So anyone who wants to have any gain any knowledge with regard to the mutual fund industry or even the wider financial industry can probably come and look at your website. Or you can also have another one saying that I'm not into learning or giving knowledge. I will talk only about funds. I will do everything analytical and give information about fund performance. That can also be. So the whole idea we are trying to say here is that create a brand. Do not try to be, again, when you're creating a brand, do not try to be everything for everything else. Do not say, I'll also put knowledge, I'll also do analysis. Can be done, but then all of that dilutes your impact. To have the maximum impact, identify yourself with what you're good at. So this is again very important because to be purposeful. So essentially what it means is that whatever you post or whatever engagement you have socially, which is going to build your brand, there has to be a purpose behind it. So what it really means is that there is so much of WhatsApp and Instagram and YouTube going on that it is very easy that we will do something which is not related professionally to our work. The more we are able to curb that, the better it is. Because then anything which we are doing which is not purposeful in terms of building our aim of 5xing our SIP book becomes dilutory in nature. It is not going to help you get that incremental one SIP, which will be the building block to making your SIP book 5 times. So be purposeful in what you share. I think the other one is very important. So it is always better to associate with other strong brands. And I think all of you people are already associating with a very, very strong brand in India, which is really perceived as one of the top brands in the distribution network. And here again, I think this is a very good example of a brand being created, which has said that we will be retail. We will not be HNI. So Prudent, I think, is a great example of having built a successful brand, which has gone the retail route. So again, coming back to the old idea is that it can't be both. It has to be one or the other. And you do one very well, the brand valuation will automatically follow. Okay, what's your story? Every distributor I've met has a story as to from where they were and how and what they have become. And each one of them is inspiring. And I think you need to tell this story out. Most of us are very, I will not say shy, are very, what shall we say, are hesitant to beat our own drums. And I think that needs to change. There is no harm. You're telling your own personal story, and it is your own success story, and it is a true story. So do not hesitate to tell it. Go ahead, tell your story. And I think that will in itself create a lot of connection with your investors. Okay, so steps to building a brand. The first and foremost is start thinking of yourself as a brand. I think that is the most important. In mind, if you think yourself as a brand, you're already on the path to becoming a brand. Have an online presence and ensure that the online presence reflects who you are in terms of professionally what you want to become. Find ways to produce value because ultimately there are 60 mutual funds now, probably 60 AMCs, 1,000 mutual funds. Pretty much all of them are in the same category. How are you going to produce value in this commoditized world? That is for you to find out. But the moment you're able to identify and produce that value, be rest assured everything will come. Once the strategy is in place, the tactics will become a multiplier. Without the strategy in place, the tactics cannot become a multiplier. Okay, in relation to your business, span categories. I think that is very important. Offer solutions to cater to all your clients' investments needs. So here again, I've again heard so many distributors saying that they not only give mutual fund advice, they also take care of the investors' real estate requirements. So if you're able to get that expertise and you're able to span categories across the investment product, that in itself becomes a distinguishing factor. So that as far as the investor is concerned, he does not have to go to 5 different specialists for his 5 different investment needs. Build a competitive moat, which is again be a one-stop shop for all financial solutions. So which essentially means that, and right now I think this estate planning and will writing are extremely important because most of the investors which you started with are now nearing their retirement and their second generation is sort of coming into the picture. So this estate planning becomes extremely important. And estate planning, if you're able to add value to the investor, it locks you in not only for this generation, but also for the next generation. Span borders, and I'm sure pretty much most of you are doing that. Most of you not only have investors in your locations, but also across the globe. So continue doing that. And then you do that, you become immune to economic cycles. It doesn't matter whether the market is up or down, market is volatile, no matter what, because you're selling something bigger than what is happening in the markets today. And you yourself will, each one of you yourself will become a brand. And getting to that 5x of SIP becomes automatic. You will not even have to consciously work for it. You will realize very soon that you have already multiplied your books, your SIP book, many more times than you thought it was possible. That's my presentation. I hope you all found it interesting. I will stop here and please if you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask questions.
Sir, one question was that somebody was asking, you said that if 1,000 investors, it becomes very difficult to 1,000 crores to handle. So he was asking that why can't we put employees over that?
Perfect. So what I meant was either be retail or be HNI. So you can definitely put retail, but I'm saying ultimately this is a business which to a large extent depends on that individual relationship. Okay, well, definitely employees should be there. I'm not for a moment saying don't have employees. Definitely you should have employees because I think the era of being single man offices has to go away and you need to have employees. But what I'm trying to say is that strategically for you to think, you can have two. You can cater to the ultra HNIs or you can cater to retail. It becomes very difficult if you're catering to both in terms of the quality and consistency of service which you can deliver.
Dinesh was asking how to go on will writing and legacy,
Sorry, how to
how to go on will writing and legacy transfer, etc. But how to learn this?
how to learn that. So there are you can definitely attend courses on that, and I think all of you should attend courses. We have a L&D department where our L&D trainer has actually done a course on estate planning. We are more than happy to conduct a very detailed session for this audience on estate planning and will writing.
Okay, Sachin is asking that do you recommend passive funds to grow SIP because the margin of brokerage and everything is very less? So should we focus on them?
See, this passive versus active is a very big debate, is a very separate debate. But I think in the Indian context, active is still the way to go. The reason why it is still way to go is that because it is still a emerging sort of an economy, it is still a developing economy in which there is a lot of information asymmetry and where individual fund houses can deliver much better than the index. So I think at least for the next 10 to 15 years, this is clearly a active market. And hence, you should definitely recommend active. Okay, will clients trust an estate planning specialist? See, the trust is a question of how you build that trust. If you can become an estate planning specialist, so you don't even have to become a specialist. As long as you have very good knowledge on estate planning, ultimately the writing of the trust has to be done by a lawyer. We can't do that. But the investor will have 25 different questions which you will not be able to ask the lawyer, which you will know. You will know his family, you will know his son, you will know which son is good, which son is not so good, which son-in-law is fine, which son-in-law is not so fine. And that is something you can't share with a lawyer. That is where your specialty comes.
No, but I was attending one of the session, and that day it was an eye opener for me when he told me that nominee is just a keeper of the money. He cannot take the money. I didn't knew that the nominee. I thought nominee means every fund house says that nomination डाल देता है. Nominee goes gets the money. So it says that no, nominee is just a person who will hand over the money to the respective
Correct.
holders. So that was
Correct.
an eye opener for me also.
True.
Pradeep is asking how to handle Gen Zs.
Yes, very, very difficult because their approach is very different. And I think it is a question of, again, like any other relationship, is a question of earning the trust and really operating in their wavelength. So because they are not going to take, see, I think ultimately the one sentence they were saying, they will not take what you are saying as the gospel truth. His father would have taken. You go and say, invest in this mid-cap fund. His father would have said, yes, given you a check, blank check. Say, you fill up the amount, you fill up the date, and you do it. The Gen Z will not do that. So you need, and I think that is the biggest psychological difference which the MFDs are facing. Because most of the MFDs I ask say this one big concern, saying that his father trusted me blindly. This person is asking me questions. And then you feel a bit hurt that someone is asking you, that is younger generation is asking you questions, whereas the older generation trusted you. It is not a question of he not trusting you. He is a question of a change in a generation. This is a generation which wants to know for themselves what is what. They have their own ideas. And so if you're able to engage with them and not try to, what shall I say, be lecturing over them or not, and then you learn their trust. So I think this is the most important thing. If you're able to sit down with them, forget the age barrier and engage with them, answer their questions, then I think the trust will automatically. It's not like the Gen Z does not want to do business. It is just that he has a different set of parameters, which his father had. I
Yeah,
hope I answered that question.
yeah, that was Ajivan's question.
Yeah, I
Transfer
hope I
function.
answered it.
Yeah.
Was that what you're looking for, sir? Did that answer your question?
Yes, sir. And even second question also follow up the same. Okay. One very interesting question what Vishaka is asking. Sir, as you said that Prudent is one of the retail brands. So if I associate with Prudent as a retail brand, how will I position myself as a wealth manager for ultra HNI segment or HNI segment?
Good, very good question. So thanks for raising this question. So all I'm trying to say is that there are two different things. With prudent, you can still deal with HNIs. It does not matter. What I said was prudence game strategy was to go the retail route and become very successful at that. Prudent is not having a wealth management, really in that sense, correct? It's
Mhm.
more it's the focus is really on the retail. So that is the distinction. That does not mean that you also have to follow prudent. You're associating with prudent brand. All I said was prudent brand established majorly through retail and less through HNI. So you can have HNIs and there will be no anomaly in that.
It's more about how you are going to establish yourself and
Established, exactly. Yeah.
a lot of people are currently facing the SIP stoppage of older clients. Okay, every client gives a genuine reason. How to tackle these clients?
See, here again, it's a question of the market volatility. So here again, what we really need to do is that we need to be preemptive. See, if you're a brand, you're creating trust, we are creating authenticity. Correct? I said the word authenticity. So let's say when this entire market volatility started, and we knew, and even at that point in time, that this is a volatility which will continue for 3 months, maybe even 6 months. So we are ahead of the curve. Reach out to the clients and say that this has started. You will definitely see next 6 months markets going down by 20%, maybe, but do not panic because the markets will again come back. So then if you're able to do that, then you become very credible, very authentic because you actually called them up when he did not even ask you and you told the markets will go down, be aware of it, but do not move away from your investment. This adds a lot more power than responding to him after the market has gone down. He calling you, then you going and saying that no, don't worry, this war will end, and then the markets will go up. That connection is lost. The power of a brand is to be authentic and be ahead of everyone else, and that is where you're unique because everyone else will wait for him to call. After 3 months, market is down 20%. Then you will try and go and give him an explanation. Those guys will lose the battle. If you are the guy who went on day first week one and told them this will happen, but don't panic. I am here. The markets are fine. Our underlying fundamentals are fine. Go through this and, in fact, invest more. You will have them for life.
I don't know, suddenly two, three people have asked the same question. Can you suggest a simple 1 minute intro for as an advisor? How do we introduce ourselves as a professional, finance professional? Can you suggest as a 1 minute intro?
Wonderful. I think this is where your value proposition comes into mind. What is the value you are offering? So this can vary for each individual. Let's say for one individual, the value he is offering is that I want to grow wealth for you, or I want to secure your financial future. So you go and introduce yourself. I am, I took up this profession to secure the financial future of my investors. Over. Nothing more. It is less than 30 seconds, but powerful. Each one can change it. But if I were an MFD, this is what I will say. I am here to secure your financial future.
Okay. Uh, One question was there. We were asking, sir, how do we target affluent customers, मतलब 1 crore, 5 crore brackets? Okay, is it can we do some corporate IAPs or will it only work on referrals or how does it go?
See, I think the higher the wallet, higher the AUM, it has to be through referrals. It is very difficult to be able to do a cold call, to do an IAP and expect to get business.
Hmm.
It definitely has to be through referrals. Or it can also be through you being able to join those clubs. For example, if you're able to join the Gymkhana club there in your location, and then over a period of time you're able to establish that rapport, that friendship, then you can build on that. So it can be twofold. One is referrals, which will take a lot of time. The other one is joining the Lions Club, joining the Rotary. So there definitely, there will be Rotary meetings. If not in your Rotary, some other Rotary you will meet. Then sure there will be a high net worth individual, there will be a business, and there you build up on it. Does that make sense?
Huh? Sorry, 100% it makes sense. How do you leave a lasting impact on a prospect who says not right now? So that
Says no right now.
no right now. Not right now. We'll think about it later so that you are the first MFD they think of in the future when they finally decide to do that.
Perfect. So, see, this is something, rejection is something which all of us face. And how we handle rejections is very, very important. And I think when there's a rejection or a deferment, the best way to do it is that I'm in this for the long term. I don't want your business today, but I want your business and your next generation's business for the next 25 to 50 years. I am ready when you are ready.
Uh, Mr. Harshit is saying that I seem to be stuck in getting new leads. How can we generate new leads?
Fantastic. See, the new leads again. We can again do a more detailed presentation. There are very number of ways you can do new leads. One is using your LinkedIn profile to create leads. So we will, it's an entire chapter as to how you can use your LinkedIn profile. Then there is also another website called Lead Finder, which also we can tell lead finder, I think you have to pay some 2,000, 3,000 rupees. But here the lead finder is like it will dump you with a lot of data. But there also you can curate. You can say that I want only doctors in in your locality. It will give you only doctors in that locality. So you can generate those leads. The other way of doing leads is to actually doing through digital marketing, which again is a very, very different concept where or a Facebook advertising. So you have a Facebook. All right. And then in that Facebook, you can ensure that your videos which you're uploading are seen by certain set of people, and all of this requires very minimal advertisement expenses. Under 5,000 rupees you can reach out to a wide audience. These are slightly more detailed, but we are more than happy to have individual sessions as to how you can increase your leads. But these are very broadly, these are all the leads. You can do your digital advertising. You can use websites like Lead Finder, and you can be able to enhance your presence.
In fact, I want to add something more than this. Okay, a lot of people call me and say, "Sir, I want to do a digital ad campaign and everything." I say, sir, before you do that, remember one thing. Are you ready with the infrastructure to cater to 100 leads if tomorrow comes at one time? Okay.
Yes.
Tomorrow you have floated one campaign, suddenly it got viral and you got dumped with 100 leads. Are you in a capacity to handle those 100 leads today? Because understand through a digital, whichever ad lead is generated, okay, the life of that lead is 30 minutes.
Correct.
only. Guys, we have to understand very seriously. I was before this into the real estate in Prudent itself. Okay. In 2014 itself, we started spending 10 lakh rupees a month on Facebook alone. Okay. We have got that sort of an experience. But understand, lifetime of that lead from social media is 30 minutes only. After the 30 minutes, he will not remember which ad he clicked on. 90% of the time, he doesn't pick up your call. Okay, you need to have a telecalling force to cater those leads. Okay, otherwise it's waste. So matlab, till again I am telling you, generating the lead is the easiest of the task. Serving that lead, matlab, only this 500 rupees t-shirt gives me daily 2 leads. This is more branding than any other brand. Okay, forget the digital media. जो आदमी से ट्रेन में मेट्रो step into the metro, two people ask me, sir, आप म्यूचुअल फंड्स में काम करते हो? I just wanted to know what is mutual fund because they see everywhere. During IPL time, Dhoni, Tendulkar, everybody speaking about this now. Rohit Sharma, but they don't know what to do. So generating the lead is very easy. This T-shirt you can try; it will generate a lot of leads. Okay, uh, sir, how can I? Ramesh sir is asking, how can I convince an FD client to invest in mutual fund? The client has a substantial amount in fixed deposit, but is asking for guaranteed returns. Which category of mutual fund should be the most suitable to such a client?
Fair enough. So here again, I think going back to building a brand is to create that authenticity and trust. So you'll have to tell him upfront there is nothing in the mutual fund space which will give him guaranteed returns. But you will have to again, then you will have to become a bit analytical and say that how much he has lost by keeping in fixed deposits. And third, say that your guarantee, while we cannot give a guarantee, history says that the longer you stay in mutual funds, lesser the chance of you losing capital. If you're there in 1 year, probably there is a 50% chance you lose capital. 3 years, it becomes 30%. 5 years, it becomes 10%. 10 years, it becomes 0%. 7 years, it becomes 0%. So, and your return can be double of FD. So you need to take the decision. See, no one can take that leap. You will have to leap. We can take you to, you will have to do the swimming. All right. But I'm not going to mislead you and saying that there is a guaranteed product because there is no guaranteed product. And that is what you're paying for. Why are you getting that incremental return? Is because you have to take an incremental risk. There are no free lunches. You cannot get an incremental return without risk. Show him the data. Hopefully, they will understand. Especially if you tell him that how much he has lost by keeping in FD.
I think he can use the inflation pitch
Correct.
very well on an FD. And sir,
Definitely.
I want to ask you a very genuine question because you have been investing a lot. In the last 25, 30 years, did any person lose money in debt funds?
In debt funds, no.
So then why are
No.
you so scared of suggesting debt funds to
No, so
clients?
it is a time. See, if someone says, even in equity funds, saying that I'll be staying invested for 10 years, then I think to a large extent we can say that it is pretty much done. The point here is again that uncertainty, correct? Because what has happened for the last 20 years in debt funds may not necessarily happen. Any loan can go bad. So, so that is where people should be aware that it is not like an FD, which is even an FD is not guaranteed. FD, my grandfather's lost money in FD. All right, I don't want to name that company. All right, so FD is not guaranteed. FD in bank is guaranteed. All right, but even in banks, there are banks which have had problems. Then banks have to be taken over. So it is not an automatic guarantee. And FDs in non-banks is definitely not guaranteed. And again, as we go and become more and more developed as an economy, but it is not now, let's say 25 years from now, banks, FDs also will not be guaranteed. In the US, it is not guaranteed. You put money in a bank, and if the bank goes bankrupt, you lose your money. Whatever is the amount which is insured is all you will get. And if you take the US example, there are any number of cooperative banks which every year goes bankrupt. They have local small community cooperative banks. They all go bankrupt. People lose money. So in India, since it's still developing, we cannot afford to be that capitalistic. So we still have a little bit of socialism where the government will step in. But 25 years from now, when it completely developed, that guarantee will not be there.
Prasad is asking that during falling markets, redemption flow has become very difficult to control because negative news are spreading very faster than the positive ones. So, how do I manage such situations while building the SIP book? Because it has
See,
become a real task for us in
task.
the last three,
So
4 years.
here again, see, if someone is hell bent on redeeming, best is to let him redeem. Or see, the more you try to see, because again, this is emotional. So investing is mostly emotional and very little analytical. And if emotional someone wants to redeem, you can first give your advice. But he says, no, I am want to get out of this market. Let him redeem. He can always enter the market. You can go back to him after a month and the market would have gone up 20%. Tell him, what is the cost of your panic? The cost of your panic is this is the amount of money you lost. So please come back into the market, because if you still hesitate to come back, you lose another 20%. So I think in some cases, we should, and this is where again the investor perceives you as well, because you ask him to redeem, not to redeem, he will think that you are acting in your own interest. So he has to perceive that you are acting in his interest. So he's saying, I want to redeem. Say, yes, sir, I understand. I will redeem. But this is not my advice. We will discuss about this redemption 3 months from now. So he knows that 3 months from now, you will come and talk about his redemption. That is the way. So, and I think while it is difficult to voluntarily redeem, but this will create your brand, because then 3 months later, you go and explain to him, he will know. Though he might never admit it, he will know in his heart of hearts that he did not listen to you. Next time he'll listen to you. You created a brand for yourself.
And Anand, to add it, see, two things here we have to understand analysis of the client who wants to redeem. For example, it's a new customer who might have invested in December and suddenly his portfolio is down by 20%. Okay, when he wants to redeem us, ask him one question. Okay, sir, we shall redeem it, no issues. But tell me, what avenue are you going to put in this 80 rupees to get back to 100? Okay, and how fast? For example, if you are going to put in an FD, it will take you so many years to get back to your 100. Okay,
Correct. Very good.
you have some other avenue where this 80 will become 100 immediately so that the loss is recovered, and not so okay. Okay, still, if he is not convinced, sir, why not do one thing? You're so scared, let's try 50-50, redeem 50. Okay, my advice, wait. Okay, still, if you don't want to listen, at least take a call. 50%, let's stay back. If the market recovers, when you'll understand what is the risk thing, and it come back. And if it's a long-term investor who has invested already 4 or 5 years back, and 100 rupees has become 200, 250, and then the 250 has become 200, then it is 100% on your advice, and you have to make them understand that this, with various reports, NAV reports, even we have launched a new SIP breakdown of the 5 years, 10 years. Sir, 100 has become 200, 200 become 150, 150 has again become 400. Okay, so don't worry about it, it will go on. So it depends upon what kind of a client is acting immediately, who wants to redeem. The most difficult would be the one who has invested in December and lost 20%.
Yes.
Okay, that guy will be very difficult. Okay, and one last question. With SEBI putting up so many restrictions, what an MFD says and what an MFD doesn't, how to be compliant in doing ads and not giving any advice? Guys, I don't know. You have not attended my last month this thing. I have made a complete presentation on what to do and what not to do, and even I have given a notebook page to you that you can put your pitch into it. Okay, and it will tell you that is it compliant or not compliant. Okay, so if you have not attended, I'll just send me a personal hi. I'll put in my number here. Okay, I'll share you the YouTube link and you can check on it. Okay, do's and don'ts of the MFDs. Okay, I think we are done. So thank you, Loganathan sir. It was splendid. The presentation was lovely. Thank you, Utsav, for conducting this. Really thanks. Sir,
Thank you so much.
लास्ट बिफोर वी लीव, दो तीन अच्छे सुंदरम के फंड के नाम तो बता दो जिसमें एसआईपी करना है अभी.
Yeah, Sundaram Mid Cap Fund,
What is your favorite fund, sir, for SIP?
mid cap and small cap, and large and mid cap. So clearly, mid cap needs no introduction. It's done very well. Small cap is right now also right at the top of Q1, and I strongly recommend large and mid cap because it had a tough performance period, but now it has turned around, and our expectation is that it will very quickly become a high performing fund. There's been a change in the fund manager, and there's also been a change in the portfolio composition and the asset allocation. And even if you see it over the last 6 months, it has become one of the top large and mid cap funds. So for someone who's not relying on past performance, large and mid cap fund, mid cap fund, and small cap fund. These three funds is what I will say for SIP.
Sir, some of my partners have sold multi-factor. What is your view on that, sir?
Great fund. Multi-factor is a great fund because that is a fund which truly diversifies. Because when you normally say diversification, just because there are 15 sectors and let's say
I think,
50
sorry to cut
stocks.
you, there are a lot of Sundaram fans here. The moment I said they are putting on all the funds what they have sold. Sundaram
Oh,
Aggressive Hybrid, Sundaram Multi-Factor, Sundaram Service Fund. Okay, I
fantastic.
think it will take 1 more hour for you to answer all this.
Done, done. No, no, fantastic. So the multi-factor is a great fund because it gives true diversification. It removes, most importantly, fund manager bias. The whole concept of launching it is that it removes fund manager bias is completely driven by very simple methodology. This is not complex algorithms, low PE, low leverage. Those are the types of high profit percent net profit margin is what goes into your value, quality, growth, and momentum. So definitely it is a very, very good fund, core to your portfolio. And so look at its performance over a slightly longer period of time, is what I would say, because
Sir,
the last
one
six
of
months has
your
been
funds
volatile.
has been on the talks. A lot of people, a lot of partners keep on asking that it gives regular dividend. That fund is Sundaram Aggressive, no, sir?
Aggressive hybrid,
Aggressive
yes.
Hybrid Fund, na? Okay,
Yes.
that is actually, मतलब, lot of people in the last 1 month only, a lot of people have asked me, सर ये
Yes.
डिविडेंड रेगुलर
Yes.
देता है क्या? मैं बोला भाई वो तो किसी को भी नहीं पता, किसी के ध्यान में नहीं है, but they are giving regularly,
Yeah.
so they are trying to maintain the tempo.
Yes.
Sir, one question. If somebody wants to invest 1 crore of rupees lump sum today, do you advise him as an STP or do you advise him straight away go for it?
See, I would think don't take it very long.
How many months, sir?
I
Six
would
months?
say not more, maximum is 3 months.
3 months? Okay.
Maximum. So probably even less than that. And I'll tell you why, because you will never get perfect certainty. We'll have to do with okay certainty. And right now, I think we are there with that partial certainty. Clearly, this war has ended, oil has come down. So the market will start looking ahead. And that is why if you see the last 3, 4 days, market has been high. And I'll tell you the other important thing is that you can clearly see that the AI mania is slowly slowing down. So why did the FI money go out was because they had better opportunity in the US investing in AI stocks. So as that comes down a little bit, that money will again come back. And that money comes back, market will be up and done in 1 month's time. So if you drag this over a long period of time, it becomes very counterproductive. Me personally, if I had that money, I'll do it all in 1 week and be done with it. Because because the market can be down 2-3% from here, but I know 1 month, 1 year from now, it will be higher than lower. But if the investors are a little bit picky, then probably put it over an STP, but not more than 3 months. Because the conditions are now becoming all right. Money can start coming back slowly over a period of time, and we need to be ahead of the curve. Again, if you're there after the FI has entered, it's too late.
Sir, one more question again.
Sure, sure, please.
Okay, one client of there who only puts Sundaram.
Hmm.
He doesn't invest anything apart from Sundaram. There is a client for us in Hyderabad. वो सिर्फ सुंदरम ही करता है. I don't know what relation he has
Fantastic.
with you guys. So his question was he wants two SIPs, okay, and two funds for lump sum. So
Okay.
he almost has money, but वो मतलब कभी बेटे के नाम पे. So he's now putting it for son. Okay, two SIPs he wants to start 25,000 each and 10 lakh lump sum he wants to put in. So what are the funds we should suggest?
Yes. So for the lump sum, I will suggest the large and mid cap and mid cap. And for the SIP, I will say our services fund and small cap.
So this is a small cap. So large and mid cap, it's no overlap.
No, no, there will be a little bit of overlap, but still the large and mid cap has a much smaller portion of mid cap. So that gives them some level of stability because there's also a good large cap component. And then there is a mid cap component.
Done, sir. I think almost we are done with the questions. AMC and AMFI have heavily promoted mutual funds, but should they be doing more to actively market the value of MFDs as a professional advisors? Request to market the investing through MFD भी सही है for professional advice. आप बना लो टी-शर्ट, क्या फर्क पड़ता है रोनाल्ड? Imagine just Prudent has got 35,000 advisors. 35,000 लोग एक बात बोलेंगे तो सेम.
Oh,
Advisor
fantastic.
जरूरी है.
Fantastic.
That's the power. मतलब if this is not appropriate place, but we asked once one of the big direct people who were entering into the indirect space. He said, why do you want to enter in indirect space? So उन्होंने एक simple answer बोला, see Kapil, uh, US market, which is the more developed, more learned market, okay, which AUM is almost 3-4 times our GDP, okay, they have 80% of assets under management through advisors.
Hmm.
Okay, India को तो अभी तक ABCD नहीं आता है. Why do you want to go direct? I
Correct.
don't know why that even direct plans was launched in India.
Correct. 100%, 100% agree.
So always advisor जरूरी है. आप रोनल्ड आप टेंशन मत लो, आपको क्लाइंट हमेशा मिलेगा. आज भी मिलेगा, 50 साल भी बाद मिलेगा, आपके बेटे को भी मिलेगा, आपके पोते को भी मिलेगा.
Absolutely.
चलो, thank you guys, thank you
Good.
Loganathan sir,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your
Thank you. Thank you
precious
so
time.
much for giving us this opportunity.
Thank you
Thank you.
all the partners for lovely 400 plus people who have attended the presentation. Thank you everyone.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.